This is Stephen Byer from Unearthed Films.
This is Eric Stanzi.
This is Fred Vogel.
This is Grandamit Stake.
This is Scott Philip Gergens, director of 29 Needles, and you are experiencing Sadistic Cinema.
Sadistic Cinema.
Sadistic Cinema!
This is Sadistic Cinema.
Welcome, everybody, to the sickest, darkest side of the internet. This is Sadistic Cinema. Here, as always, is your host, David Manifesto Gibson, and the guy who keeps me in line and makes sure all my facts are straight, Stephen Nemeth. How you doing, Stephen?
What's up? You should have said you should have stuck with the third person and said keeps him in line.
Keeps him in line.
Yeah, since you just introduced yourself as here's the host.
Here's the host.
It creeps me out a little bit, but
hey,
it's all good. It's all good. I'm just
David knows what he's doing.
Yes, he does. I'll tell him you said that.
Well, Stephen, we have a special guest tonight who's an alum from Sadistic Cinema. This is not his first rodeo. And this is a guy who obviously I respect anybody who we invite on the show. But this is a guy that, I consider a friend. I really enjoy talking to this guy. And he is the mind behind Snake with a Human Tail and the upcoming Axe2Grind. It's Spencer Gray. Spencer, how you doing, bud?
How you doing, brother? How you doing, Steven? You doing all right?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Glad to see the show's back, man. I was not just a guest, but I was a fan. So I'm glad to see you guys have returned full force.
That means a lot to hear that.
Oh yes, it does. Yes, it does. And you're only our second guest. So we are doing some. We don't know how we're going to put these shows out, so we're still putting that all together. But we're doing some reviews and some interviews, so we're mixing it up a bit. And
we got a whole bunch of stuff recorded. I mean, we've got about a small season already. We want to get another interview or two, and then throw in a few topics that we're going to discuss just between ourselves, and we're just going to start issuing those things out as we line up some other interviews, and we can have a no stress time of lining up other cool shows. And I'm not sure where you're going to come out in that format. Probably within I would assume the first 3 episodes. So
cool. Well, I appreciate it very much.
Well, the reason, you came on my old podcast, Coast to Coast, not too long ago.
Right.
And we were discussing Snake with a Human Tail, which I'm a big fan of it. And I'm not just saying that because I consider you a friend. It's really one of my favorite short films. But you, after that show, you got hooked up with putting out Axe2Grind. Tell us a little bit about how that all came about.
That was weird. It was literally probably 2 days later, after I did the other show with you and Raj. I got an email from a guy I kind of sort of knew, like 2 days later, asking me if he'd looked at my Facebook, knew I was, in college still, but I was wrapping up, and he's like, "Are you available to, shoot a film or write and direct a film this fall?" And I said, "Well, at first I was like, well, I don't know how I would do that, but with my schedule the way it is, but I'll listen to whatever your pitch is." And we got to talking, and by the end of the day, I was sold. Kind of gave me carte blanche, to do what I want, and they, gave me an outline of some, I've just been banging out the script, and pandemic willing, we'll be shooting in Oklahoma this fall.
Awesome. And now Axe2Grind is a sequel, correct?
Yes, it's a sequel to a 2015 film called Axe2Grind with Debbie Rochon and Michelle Tomlinson, and we had a good cast. It had a lot of it was a good film. I mean, I enjoyed it, and it did well enough to that wanted to go ahead and do a sequel, and they wanted it to be something different, and they said that's why they came to me, and I've been working with a great producer, Scott Sanford, and I've just been basically, I'll write 10 pages, send them off to him, and he's thrilled with the way it's coming along. And I'd talk more about, the plot and whatnot, but I mean, this is going to be really something. It's going to be a departure horror wise, I think. It's going to have a very John Waters type feel to it. And, it's kind of like Snake with a Human Tail was kind of an homage to Kubrick. This is kind of going to be uber violent homage to John Waters. So I'm kind of like one of those bands, I don't, every time they put out an album, it sounds different, but it's still cool. Kind of like Faith No More. I want to be like that as a filmmaker. I want every one of my films is going to be something different. I don't want to get pigeonholed and do the same crap over and over.
Now, I know I have not seen Axe2Grind. Have you seen Axe2Grind, Stephen?
No, but I know plenty of the people involved in it. Go ahead.
What is your take on that? Like, what if you let the listeners know a little bit about that film if they haven't seen it?
Talking to me or Stephen?
Yeah, Spencer. Yeah,
okay.
Tell us a little bit about your idea.
I make some shit up since I haven't seen the first Axe2Grind.
Yeah, tell the people a little bit about Axe2Grind, and since you have to be you have to understand the source material going to yours. Give us a little insight about that film.
Well, it's basically about a scream queen who's getting older, and but she's still got it going on, and she's still getting roles, but she's kind of aging out a little bit, and her producer / boyfriend drops her from his latest film and casts a younger woman and gets in a relationship with said younger woman, and of course that's just doesn't make Debbie Rochon's character Debbie very happy, and so she grabs an axe and gives the cast and crew a 40 whack.
So I know you can't give a little too much away from your script, but Debbie Rochon is in the film, so I'm guessing she's going to reprise the role.
Yes, she'll be back as Debbie Wilkins. Stormy Daniels, yes, that Stormy Daniels is playing her sister. We originally were going to do a cameo with her, and then decided that after talking to her and throwing the idea ball around with Scott, the executive producer, I was like, well, let's expand her character, make them sisters, and make them kind of like a whatever happened to Baby Jane kind of thing. Is what I'm going for here. And everybody's thrilled with that idea. So I once again plan to bring everybody a very disturbing yet this time fun and crazy kind of carnival ride of a movie. But I don't want to get too silly. I don't. It's not going to be silly in any way like a Trauma film would be. And I'm not talking shit about Trauma. I love Lloyd Kaufman. So I grew up watching Trauma. I'm a Trauma kid.
It's so funny because I was just talking to Debbie and Lloyd together.
Oh, yeah.
And now this was a few months ago before all COVID and everything, but I had the premiere of a short I directed called In Shadows and the final festival screening of my film Black Friday. And Debbie Rochon was screening, I guess, Torment Road or whatever her newest thing is there. And Lloyd was there with Return to Nukem High 2. Or I guess is yeah, that is too, because the Return to is the second of the Return to. Yeah. And in fact, when your film Snake with Human Tail was playing at in 2015 at Crimson Screen, I was there with Debbie Rochon too, and just hanging out with her a little bit. And I loved seeing that film again there. It was nice seeing it projected big instead of the link that you provided us to watch for that interview we did.
Well, was Debbie there?
Jesus, 5 years ago.
Yeah, Debbie was there for what, Dorchester's Revenge?
No.
That was another film.
No, she was there for Model Hunger.
Okay.
It was the premiere of Model Hunger. It was the festival premiere of my film Deathless. It was, and Steve Balderson was also there premiering Helltown.
Okay.
And
I liked Helltown.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I guess what was it? 3 episodes. And the second they skipped the pilot, but it was like if you were watching the second, third, and fourth episode of a soap opera in this high school town. And with all the suburban drama and stuff going on. But I hung out with them too, and it was a great time there. But it's cool. I love Debbie Rochon as an actor. I definitely enjoyed her directorial debut with directing Lynn Lowry and Model Hunger too. That was really awesome. So I definitely like to see you direct her in Axe2Grind. Yeah,
and I'm doing. Debbie and I have talked at length about. I'm the kind of guy, a writer, director, filmmaker, whatever you want to slap me with, but and I even did this on Snake with a Human Tail. I like to sit down with, talent, and have a dialogue about what they think of the character, the way I wrote it, and what if they have anything they'd like to add or nuances or anything that they could bring that'll improve it. I'm a collaborative filmmaker. I'm not pretentious ass like some people I can think of, but but with Debbie, she's intelligent and she's talented and she's pretty amazing to talk to. And we, when I was trying to sell them on my idea for how I wanted, Axe2Grind to go, Debbie was actually quite excited about it because it's fresh, it was different, we could have fun doing it, and I think it would be a film that'll stand out, and it will be it's in the way we're doing it. You don't have to have seen the 2015 movie. It could be a sequel or it can be a standalone film, independent of the first one, but it doesn't diss the first one either. You see what I mean? You know what I mean. So
now, you also brought Marv Blavel back on with you. He played Father Fulci in The Snake. And what's Marv? Have you fleshed out a role for Marv yet, or any ideas?
Yeah.
I see on IMDb he doesn't have a name yet for a character. Is that something you're still working hard on?
Oh well, no. I mean, I've already cast him, or Scott and I have already cast him as. He's going to have a lead role. He's going to play, without giving away too much, he's going to play Debbie Rochon's parole officer. And he kind of becomes a Dr. Loomis type character through no choice of his own. He's got forced into it. So it's going to have a lot of elements that everybody loves. And, it's like, but when I do an homage, it's kind of like in Snake with a Human Tail. Marv's character was called Father Fulci, and we left it at that. We didn't put, a shark in the hotel room with Sherry Davis.
No eye trauma.
No eye trauma. That was my homage. So I'm doing the same thing here, except there's more homages. But I don't want to, I don't want to step on anybody's toes if they're, even if they're alive or dead.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Marv was going to stop on with us tonight, but had some technical difficulties. But it's good to see you guys back together. Now I see that just from IMDb says it's pretty woman dominated there. So it's going to be a pretty woman centric film.
Yeah, it's going to be a very And Debbie and I had a long talk about this, and what we don't want to. We want to do something that empowers women. Even though it's going to be uber violent and disturbing and brutal and crazy and have all this dark humor, and it's going to be our kind of humor, But it's it's she's in love with the idea, and a lot of like Devaney Penn, she's in love with her character too. It's going to be a great character study of a film, and I'm very excited to do it. It's female dominated as hell. Yeah.
Anthony's shooting this.
Yes, and my DP from Snake, Anthony Gutierrez, yeah, he's coming back to Lens's thing. And honestly, if I do anything in the future, I'll always demand Anthony come back, because I like Anthony. He can practically read my mind, and that's what I need in my life when I'm trying to create is, someone who gets me, and I know that sounds really weird or creepy or whatever.
As a director, no, not at all. And also as a cinematographer, no.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need. And David, I don't know if you know this, but Anthony also worked on Circus of the Dead.
Yes, he did.
Oh, really?
Billy Pond's movie, yeah.
Okay. Well, that gives him that's one of my favorite horror movies, indie horror movies in the last decade. So
he wasn't the DP, but he did camera operation and he handled the Steadicam and stuff for that.
Okay, awesome. Now, is there any input from creators of the first film in this, or is it all you?
No, it's all me. I mean, when Anthony and I get to the point where it's time to storyboard and do shot lists and that kind of thing. It's like we did on Snake, he and I sat down and together and, talk about what works and what doesn't, and how can we do this better and how can, so yeah, I always take his creative input and his expertise to heart. But honestly, I mean, there's no, Scott is, co-writing the script with me, but more and less of hey, I've got this idea, let's add this, or do this one or tweak this one thing. But, he's given me, like I said, pretty much carte blanche to do this the way I want it, and I as a filmmaker and artist, I really appreciate that more than you know. So he's a good guy to work with, and it's been a beautiful experience so far. There's been no drama, there's been no stress, and God damn it, people like me. No,
well, I was going to say, because, your first film, that was all you. It's a little strange now working with a producer.
It is, but it's not. Because, Sanford's a really good guy, and he knows what he wants, and he's talented, and he's resourceful, especially when it comes to financial wants and needs and budgeting, and he's got a great flair and head for business, and he doesn't really come at me with anything unless he feels it's important, and then we'll sit and talk about it, and I respect the guy, and we've become friends, and sometimes when you put friendship aside and then you have to do just business, sometimes it can I wouldn't say frustrating, but you kind of have to wring your hands a little bit and say, well, this isn't all me this time. I'm going to have to work with other people. But like I said, I'm a collaborative guy, so it's it's not ruining my day or anything. But yeah, it's a little more challenging, but not like I'm not miserable. It's been great so far.
How many pages in the script are you?
I am almost through with the third act, so it's going to be about 120 pages. It's not going to be it's not going to be Heat, but it's not going to be a short film either. It's not going to be.
You're shooting close to that 2-hour mark.
Yeah, and and I did that with Snake as well, and wound up cut. Well, Snake wasn't. Well, it did start out. I think we talked about this the last time. It did start out as a full feature script, and I condensed it way down, because everybody that read it wanted to do it. And I was like, okay, let's all put our heads together and get this done. And we did, but we had to make it a short, which I would still love to go do a full length Snake with a Human Tail remake.
Oh, and I would love to see that. Me and Steven, we didn't get a chance to, but we usually do like a pre-conversation before the show. And, we have a 5-point rating system. We try to be as subjective as possible. That's why it's 5 different points, going from concept, performances, things of that nature. And we didn't get a chance to do that. But and it's a best of 5. and to be honest with you, and I think me and Steven are on board, well, we probably would have rated your film around a 4, which is high praise, because we try to do it subjectively,
Right.
and anything we've rated, we haven't even gotten past. What's the highest we've rated? 4.5, 4.75, Steven? Oh,
I think do we lose Steven?
we might have lost him for a second. This is his feed, so he'll be back on. But
Okay.
yeah, I think we did.
I muted myself so you wouldn't make the ice cubes in my beverage. I'm sorry.
But I think what
The
like
scorecard,
four.
I actually have the scorecard pulled up, and
I think Maniac was the highest when we played around with numbers.
like for an overall final, it's 4.5.
4.5.
There were 2 4.5s, and Maniac was one of them. Actually, 3 4.5s. Maniac, Lords of Chaos, and The Nightingale all got 4.5.
The Nightingale is wonderful, and I'm finally glad David watched freaking Lords of Chaos.
Oh, I love that. I love that film.
Great, wasn't it?
I held off because I didn't want the American release, and I was trying to order the UK era release from Amazon UK, but they wouldn't ship it to me. Like, I had a whole bunch of stuff in my cart. They would ship me everything but that one. So I ended up, and I think I got actually the very last copy of the Diabolic DVD had. So we finally watched it and did it for this. And I'm an old school, Mayhem fan and stuff. So it was cool to finally see the film based on that stuff.
Yeah, but us rating something a 4 means it's pretty stellar, in our opinion. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Just me and Steven talking.
It would be a 4. I mean, we were just like, what do you think it would get? We haven't even gone through because we, like you said, it's like the concept of production, the performances, cinematography, overall entertainment value, and then we averaged that up, or averaged between ourselves, and then averaged that up to 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah,
well, that makes me feel good. I really appreciate that.
Well, and I've told you in the past how big a fan I am of that film. So I would love to see if one day you could turn that into a feature, because it has a great concept, and I think your writing was spot on with it. Yeah, that would be awesome, man.
It seemed like it was going to have a DVD or a Blu-ray release at one time that you were going to self-do. Did that ever happen?
Yes, but it was limited. I mean, we did we did like a basic DVD and Blu-ray run, and then we did some limited steelbook editions.
Damn, I missed out on that. I wanted to get it. I think I was shooting American Guinea Pig BLOODSHOCK when that happened, and I was just on set the whole time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like I was telling David, I'm pretty sure I have a few steelbooks left. To be honest, I don't know where they are, so I'll get in my garage and pick around and look for them. If you'd like, I'll send you. If I can find them, I'll send you both what I got left if you want.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. We love that film, and I just rewatched it on the link again. But I mean, it needs representation on the shelf. It's worthy, so it needs to be up there.
Thank you. I will appreciate that.
And like you said, like it's the homage stuff to or the references to Kubrick and stuff. I'm a huge Kubrick fan, and I mean, there's high art to exploitation and high exploitation, on the shelf, and it needs to be up there. So we'd really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. It's like it's like the whole scene in the psychiatrist's office where Marv Father Fulci is talking to his psychiatrist, Dr. Bloom. That's my homage from Hannibal, but Billy Blair was playing his psychiatrist. But that office itself was at Stanley Kubrick's wet dream. I mean, everything, we made sure everything was symmetrical. All the colors were, like Kubrick would do. And then, like, if you'll notice, if you go back and watch that scene, behind him on that shelf is all these books, like by Jung and all these great philosophers. And then right next to that, Yeah, and then but right there behind him also are a bunch of dildos. If you look really hard,
I didn't catch that.
Billy Blair has, or is it Bloom? Is it Dr.
Yeah, Dr.
Bloom?
Dr. Bloom. Yeah.
He's got some obsessions. Like he's like, and you notice like what he reacts to and where he makes notes. About Billy Blair's character in that, I remembered enjoying his performance, and I think I enjoyed it even more this time. I think he, with like what Marv did, what Sherry did, is what I expected from them, and that was dead on. But I knew of Billy beforehand, and I had seen stuff with bands he was working with or whatever, and I'd always seen him in like pictures, stills, or in the background or something. And like I just enjoyed him, playing a professional in that field. I thought he did really good.
Yeah, and he did, and he was impressive and amazing. And the song at the end of Snake with a Human Tail is Billy Blair's song.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was. It sounded like one of this project, and I saw in the credits that there was. I was looking for his band, but it was like. I guess attributed to him and the two other guys that were performing with him. What when he had his effects scene in the kitchen at home, and I'm not going to say to you, I mean, your film's been out for a while and maybe a lot of people have seen it, but I'm still not going to give too much away. But when there's the effects scene in the kitchen, is that all you and the other guys operating the effects, or when he was forward on the ground, was he having to help operate stuff himself?
No, that was our rig completely. Okay. All Billy had to do was act. Well, and he had to fall down.
Because there was one hand out, but I couldn't see the other hand, and I was wondering, like, because there's been productions I've on where the actors had to help, activate an effect themselves.
Well, we actually shot that kitchen scene was in my kitchen for one thing, and in my home kitchen,
by the way.
What's that?
Nice tile on the floor, by the way.
Oh, well, not anymore. It's not. No, I'm kidding. But no, we rigged that whole thing. To give Billy plenty of room to, do his own death the way he wanted to, kind of thing. Basically, we just used a lot of tubing and a hydraulic rig, that wasn't too powerful, and we had like. We modified a squirt gun, it was just like, we just got creative, and it turned out well, but, really, he didn't have to do anything but act, and that's kind of the way I wanted it. I didn't want to encumber him, and make it awkward for him, because I know I've been on the effects side of stuff, and I know it's awkward if you got a whole bunch of crap going on, with tubes and whatnot.
David, we just kind of dove into talking to Spencer because we know him and we're familiar with some of his work. Is there anything you want to tell anybody about your background, like with your AD stuff or, other effects work and TV work, Spencer?
I've been doing this for, 20 years. I got my very first start. My brother and I we worked at movie studios in Las Colinas in Dallas, Texas. I don't even know if it's still there. It probably is. But that was that was the place, back in the day. It was the only place where like TV shows shot. RoboCop shot there. That movie JFK shot there. They shot Barney there. They shot Walker, Texas Ranger, Teletubbies. Lots of stuff happened. And I worked on all those shows because I was part of the effects crew. We just were mercs. I did a Pepsi commercial. I did that eyeglass commercial. What is it? The optical lens commercial where everything's white but the glasses and the guy. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Well, anyway, I painted that soundstage. Just stuff like that, paying your dues stuff. I had a lot of great things. My brother and I both, we got to work. We worked on Walker, Texas Ranger. I'm now old enough and jaded enough to admit that and don't care. I finally put it on my IMDb. I'm actually in an episode, so I can actually go to parties and tell people I got my ass kicked by Chuck Norris on TV.
Oh yeah, I saw that you were a biker.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I had this Manson thing going, and you know I've got ink, right? So some guy couldn't show, and the director was like, "Hey, you, yeah, you." He's like, "Can you fall down?" I was like, "I guess."
And that was the TV movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Walker, Texas Ranger. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you a funny story about that show, and I hope Chuck Norris doesn't try to sue me or anything, but he's a nice guy, he really is. But he's so short, even with boots, that all the sets they shot Walker on, like the cantina. The bar was lowered, the doorways were lowered, the sets were gimbaled so taller actors could stand on the low part and he could stand on the high part. I'm not making this shit up, dude. That's like, yeah, these tiny ass doorways, like he's walking into a bar to kick some ass. Well, those doorways, I'd have to duck to go through them. And I'm only like 5'11".
Dude, I know. I met him. I'm a little under 5'10". I met him in 88.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and think again in 90 at like the U.S. Open karate tournament, and he wasn't a big guy, and then I'm thinking of the first time I'm really seeing him on film that wasn't in like a footage from a match was Way of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not towering over Bruce Lee at all.
Yeah, because what's Bruce Lee, like 5'6"?
Yeah, they're like the same size pretty much. And the others, let's see, the Pepsi. Let's see, I mentioned I worked on a Pepsi commercial. I got fired though within like the first.
Yeah, so did Michael
minutes.
Jackson. He got fired on a Pepsi commercial too.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Oh, too soon.
30 years too soon.
That's terrible.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Spencer. Where did you get fired from?
I walked on this. Well, I'm a kid, right? I'm only like 21 or 2. Got my head up my ass. I'm a kid. But I walked onto a Pepsi set drinking a Dr. Pepper, and I got fired.
Isn't that a Pepsi product now? Or then?
Well, it wasn't in 95.
Was it independent? Because I guess it was at places that had Coke fountains and Pepsi fountains, but now it seems to be associated with Pepsi. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was an indie soda. Only the cool cats drank the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that's like back in the day. I mean, Dr. Pepper was like, I think there was only Coke and Dr. Pepper, like back in the 50s or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now
I remember this town my mom grew up in had a big Dr. Pepper mural on the side of the high school she went to. Seriously. And
it's up right for life, right? Drink
right.
all yourself, kids.
Yeah, and they used to make it with cane sugar, and they still do. You have to order it and have it delivered to your house, but it's pretty delicious.
Are you a Texas native?
I was born in Texas. I'm kind of at this point ashamed I ever lived there.
Because you're an Oklahoma guy, right?
You know what? I love Oklahoma. I moved here to go to school pretty much, but I'm pretty much gonna hang my hat here. I really like it here. It's progressive. I hear about the rednecks, but I don't ever see any.
That's not what Merle Haggard told me.
What did Merle Haggard tell you?
He told me all about the Okies, man.
The Okies.
And Muskogee. And what they like and don't like. And they don't wear their hair long and shaggy.
Oh. Well, things have changed around here, partner.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before because I was so surprised that that there's a bastion of progressiveness in Oklahoma. It's not.
There is.
It's not what most people would think who are, I guess, not from that area.
No, I mean, well, I go to OU, and OU is millennial central, and it's basically like the thing about this town, as opposed to other college towns, is that Oklahoma, Well, the city of Norman, where OU is, where I live, it's right outside of Oklahoma City. OU's population is considered part of the city population.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And OU's about as big as the Vatican as well. It's enormous. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to be not progressive in this state. And I mean, granted, you've got your dipshits, and they're mostly tweakers, and who cares? But
So by my math, you're about 7 years younger than me, but that still makes you old.
Well, I just turned 48, so yeah.
No. Then you're not. Then I misplaced your story of the 20-year-old Pepsi commercial. You're dead on then. So does it feel like Dangerfield and Back to School?
Sort of, yeah. I don't talk to a lot of people, and I don't want to be that creepy old guy on campus, so I kind of keep my distance unless people come talk to me, especially kids. They're kids to me.
Yeah, and you go to jail for banging co-eds nowadays.
Yeah, that too. But and I've there's a few professors I've become chummy with, and we do lunch or go to the gym or whatever. But I kind of just keep to myself when I'm at school. I'm not there to make friends anyway. I'm there to learn and get on with my life.
What are you studying there?
I've been getting my master's the last 5 years in pre-law and philosophy and political science, and then so in January that'll be my last semester before I get my master's, and then I'm going on to law school, which also means I'm going to stay at OU. So
you're becoming part of the machine.
No, I'm becoming a instrument to fight the machine. I'm going to be a civil rights attorney. I know there's no Bentley.
I was about to ask what field of law you were going to go into.
Yeah, civil rights. There's not going to be any Bentleys or golf courses or mansions in my future unless it comes from film. It's not going to come from law. I'm doing law to help people. So somebody's got to.
Now, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You're vocal on Facebook about your political beliefs, and so am I. That's why I get kicked out so often. But do you ever worry, or does having a producer now? Do you ever worry about having to cut back a little bit on saying what you really feel?
Nope. Actually, because Scott is he and I are on the same fucking page when it comes to politics, so he doesn't care what I say, so.
Hey, and I agree. I think you should be able to say whatever you want. Just unfortunately, it seems in our horror community, we do have people with differing ideologies. It's kind of a melting pot if you look at the horror community. You would think that it would be a little bit more liberal for the things that we like, but it's it really isn't. Go ahead, Steven.
No, I'm just like about the melting pot, and then the asshole scene that pops up that is very inflexible and limited in scope. I'm just thinking about like when I used to go to crazy concerts and metal shows and stuff back in the day, and then there was a time I guess in the early 90s when Pantera started touching on a crossover crowd. Mm-hmm. And there were the regular jock that normally would listen to, the most banal radio music that would show up at a metal show and, try to get in the pit, where it was back in the days, like where it was like Destruction and Exodus and stuff like that. And there was a culture and there's something that we understood how to interact in an aggressive and challenging environment that wasn't hateful. And then you add ignorance into that. Mm-hmm. And then it became volatile.
Yeah.
And that was the closest metaphor I've experienced to what's going on in like the fringe film community now.
Yeah, it's sad. It's a shame. My take on it is, I've been doing this forever, and so have you guys. And I've been to convention after convention, and I've been to festival after festival, and I've been on both sides of the table as a fan and as someone who has a table. And you never used to see this. You never used to hear about this. And then asshole got, apricot Adolf got in the White House, and now everybody thinks it's okay to be a fucking dickhead Nazi. And I think David was saying, it's like these are my people. I used to think, we've been shit on our whole lives. We've been marginalized our whole lives because we're tattooed and we like horror films and heavy metal or punk or whatever it is. Mainstream society does not like us. So it shocks the shit out of me because we are the last people I would expect this from. Because we know how it is to be shit on. Why do you want to do it to someone else?
Oh, I totally agree.
And what you were talking about, the big apricot there, I think the most dangerous part about him is the way he stirs the pot. At first, I thought he's just a shocking individual and he just stirs up controversy, but he really does promote some an excuse or inspire behavior that I just I'm at a loss of words for.
And it's funny because Steven,
I would even say beyond his own behavior.
He's doing everything he can to win again, because the second that he has to leave the White House, the FBI is going to give him some new jewelry and take his fat ass to prison.
Well, it's funny because me and Steven have been friends for years, and it's like Steven I would have considered more moderate than I am. I would always been considered on a radical left, just in my beliefs and views. And Steven I always felt was a little more moderate. But when we see these new factions forming, Steven and me agree on political things a lot more. Not
Right.
that we had total disagreement, but we might have had little differences. It's like this environment's even pushing people far left or far right, and everything is so. There's no bipartisan. There's no agreement. It's either do or die now, and it's kind of making it just a hard country to live in anymore. It's becoming quite crazy.
Yeah, David, I identify politically as anarchist, but I vote Democrat. And until an anarchist like Noam Chomsky runs for office, I'm always going to have to vote Democrat. And I'm not going to vote, I'm not going to throw away my vote, for one thing, and, because then the Electoral College will fuck us. So if people, it's like all these Bernie guys, look, I love you. You're Bernie guys. Bernie's my guy. But don't just not vote.
Yeah.
Might as well just hand Trump another 4 years, and say, okay, America, good luck. I mean,
speaking about anarchy and anarchists and the anarchist lifestyle, or self-governing philosophies, self-policing entities, and people that have a code of ethics that makes self-policing a good thing.
Right.
I was thinking about the governor's orders and things that have happened here in South Carolina. And there was and probably many states have had the same thing. And I saw some governor's comments that had some similar echoes as McMaster here in South Carolina, was that at first there were some things that were seeming like they were going into a mandatory direction. And then when he backpedaled and just took, liberty with people's safety and with the needs and actually what seemed to be the wants of the people. He said, there's no reason to enforce these things because people can do it themselves.
Yep.
And I think that's
and he was speaking out against anarchy in every other facet of the conversation. And then when it comes to what we needed for safety, protection, and survival, he he promoted it, but doesn't even know that he was making, and many other people and other places of leadership were making the very strong argument for anarchy that they denounce. Yet when they are trying to, not take the real stance, are suggesting it to everyone. And, and I know everybody's listening because sadistic cinema is where you come for your politics.
Aren't we supposed to be talking about movies? Sadistic politics.
But, I just thought that was interesting, and, maybe we got off a little topic here, but this is something that is saturated, divided, and even coalesced, different parts of our communities and our industry. I think we're going to see a lot of evidence in this in the new art coming out.
Oh, and Stephen, I feel if we looked at our favorite films, most of them, most of the ones that we hold really dear and that we see as masterpieces
I'm just kidding.
They're questioning politics and they're questioning religion.
Yeah.
When it all, if you look at, Ingrid Bergman's films, if, you're looking at almost anything, it's questioning those facts. And I think the people who love art are open-minded enough to question that. And even if it's against your ideology, it will at least open up that discussion in your mind or amongst you and your friends, which I think that's the power of art. So
I'm totally about, mystical concepts, and not in a fantasy or new wave sense, but in the search for truth. Wherever that is found, that's really what mysticism is, and and that's what I like about films that search for truth within things, that ask questions that lead you to, distill that truth to yourself from things, and don't hold your hand too much, and really challenge you to find the truth in opposing concepts too.
Well, if you look at, you could say two of the most important horror films ever made, Psycho and Night of the Living Dead. Psycho questions the family unit. There's a lot of questions there about men and women in our social structure. And then Night of the Living Dead, made one of the biggest political statements with the ending ever. So, the people who say
questions the family unit, and in the interim, it starts off with the brother and sister, and then moves to the people in the house, and there's the family in the basement, and the person who takes leadership in the family there is making the best decision for everyone. And then it moves on to the outer ring of that, which is society leadership.
Definitely.
And then, of course, the overtones of that ending. But those are so important. And I think we're still feeling the ripples of those statements.
And so that's me saying, the people who say keep politics out of movies and out of art, fuck off. There is no art without politics or religion.
It's like the new show. I'm totally in love with the new show Snowpiercer. Have you watched it?
I have not watched the show yet.
Oh, the show's great.
I've seen the feature. I haven't seen the series.
Yeah, well, I went into the hold on. I'm sorry. What? I'm on a podcast. Anyway, sorry about that.
I'm a cord cutter, so I usually get a lot of this stuff late. I don't have cable.
Oh, well, it's Snowpiercer. I think it's on TNT. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore because I don't know, just nothing's good. But I still watch like boxing and MMA and Bill Maher and Blacklist, and if Walking Dead ever comes back on, I probably still watch that. But Snowpiercer is my new favorite thing. I love the movie, and the show is so political. The film itself was too, but this show is like it is such a greatly written and produced and acted and directed a story about. It's basically just like what's going on right here, right now, with everything, and it works, and it's beautiful. I really love it. I mean, there's only been like 5 episodes, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely something I want to check out. Is Bong like is he producer or anything on that?
Oh yeah, he's
okay.
I think he's executive producer, and I think he wrote one of the episodes, but he's not directing that I've seen so far.
Yeah, well, he won Best Picture for Parasite, and you can't get much more political or questioning the class system than that film. So.
And not to mention that Parasite was as close to a perfect film as you can get, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I labeled it my second favorite film of the decade, next to Mother. Those were my two.
Dude, you and me on Mother, man. Like, I think we're the only 2 people that liked it.
No, I loved it, and Chris,
good
director. I just worked with. I was DP on his Bad Girls film that'll be coming out soon. He also dug that, and it was high on the list of many filmmaker colleagues of mine.
Yeah, and it's such an amazing film.
I was surprised too, but it got a lot of hate, man. It sure as hell got a lot of hate. But man, it was edgy, and I don't think it was like just about shock value. I thought it was an intelligently made film.
Oh no, it's one of the most in-depth biblical allegory films that I can recall. That last half hour is some of the most intense filmmaking. I put it up there with some of Gaspar Noé's works that you just feel you're on. They say the edge of your seat, and it's such a cliche, but that film had me anxious, and I biting my nails is so amazingly done.
I figured out what was going on when the sink broke. It kind of clicked for me. I figured out the biblical allegory part of it. It was like, oh, I see what's going on, and then from there, it's just a one-way elevator ticket down to hell. I'm non-religious, and so that's a perfect film for me.
and that was directed by an atheist.
Yeah.
And I thought it was convincingly literate, because I was a Bible and theology scholar. I studied mythology, and belief systems and history and stories that influence the primal human condition through civilization. That's what I'm, and I guess the foundations of civilization psychology as well as tribal psychology. And I was just, I was really into it. I thought it was a great film. I'm actually at a loss for words to explain how much I liked it, especially to people that haven't seen it. They just got to experience it for themselves, because even if you don't get all the references, or you don't have a specific literacy to get what the metaphors are, it still has meaning in just the physical action on the screen.
And I think that's probably the reason why people, I'm talking about, gen pop of our society, didn't like it. And I'm not being a snob or snooty. I'm really not. But I don't think people got it. Not,
No,
and I think
no,
I think that's why a lot of people, that sucked. No, it didn't.
I mean, that thing was an onion, dude, and it had layers.
Yeah.
And Parasite. And Parasite's the same way, and
yes,
it amazes me that if I made a list of my top 10 films ever, there's 2 Korean films in that list, and it's just amazing to see a Korean director finally get some international recognition, because I think I love American film, but I think Korean is the second to the American industry that can make and that's not knocking other countries.
I've got 2 Korean films on the way that I've been waiting on. One from the early 80s and I think the others are around the same time period. And I can't wait because I previously looked to Korea for a different type of filmmaking, and it wasn't until the 2000s that I was seeing what was hitting me as what I wanted to see, at that moment from Korea. And I'm pretty excited. And the films that I'm waiting on are. I'll pull them up. I'll tell you what they are in a second. But
well, I think Korean culture, even though it's vastly different, their mind state is so close to American because the way that their culture was built into the uber consumerism that their culture turned into, and their art is just totally lambasting that cultural system. And they're deep into revenge, and they love allegory. And I think Parasite is just a combination of all these forces in Korean cinema that just it had to explode. And the fact that Parasite is the first international film to win Best Film at the Oscar, and it's the only film probably in 20 years that I can agree with getting the Best Oscar, is just amazing to me.
The two films I'm talking about, which are by, I guess, 20 years predating this wave of Korean filmmaking that we're talking about, or 20 days before the start of it, because we're like 20 years into it already now.
Yeah.
Suddenly in the Dark and Woman Chasing the Butterfly of Death.
Okay. Who are they? Are they directed by the same director?
I don't think so. Let me see here. Women Chasing the Butterfly of Death, and I'm trying to see. It doesn't. That's Kim Ki-young, and the gosh, where is the other one? My screen is not scrolling. Why is this happening? Oh, because there we go. Loading. Here we go. It's not. Oh, Go Young Nam. So
I think I've heard Bong reference him by name.
Possibly. This is a interesting one. Both tend to seem to have supernatural imagery, but are also psychological.
And I think Spencer, you're the one who told me to see Man from Nowhere, right?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up and see if Steven had any thoughts on that film. It's probably my favorite Korean revenge film.
I think that's one of the ones you recommended to me, and that was such a good one as well.
Oh yeah, I've seen it probably. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, I've seen the poster for this, and I remember seeing it on physical media, but I have not seen this movie.
Oh, that's a good one, Steven.
Yeah, and the sequel, No Tears for the Dead, is very good too.
Okay, I didn't know that was a sequel. They are on my list now, definitely.
Oh yeah, trust me, trust David, trust us, Danielson.
Well, that's the one thing that me and Spencer, our tastes align so closely. I think it's been kind of rare that we've disagreed. So I think when I recommend Spencer something, or vice versa, we're usually pretty close to each other's likes.
We've disagreed like probably a handful of times, but we've also known each other like half a decade now. So yeah, we agree more than not.
Well, 2020, there's not too much new shit out there to watch, so we got to take what we can get. So we got to go back and visit some old stuff.
And as so much is, has already been done, and there really isn't anything new. There's still some interesting voices and takes on things that have been introduced in the past and are now explored a little further. I'm still very happy with the state of cinema. There's a few other mediums of art that I feel are really stagnant right now. And don't get me wrong, I think there is a whole lot of banal, inane, film out there, but there still is some like really good stuff going on, and enough to give me faith in the industry, or maybe not the industry, in movements and individuals working within the industry independently. I think that's a better thing to say.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think 2020 has already been a strong year. There's some films that I really love that came out this year.
Yeah.
And we haven't had as many, but there's not a lot of shit.
Well, most of them are for like A24 though.
If it wasn't for Jay and Silent Bob. But
Well,
we've had color out. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask Spencer if he's seen anything this year that has moved him.
You guys were talking, I think maybe before we even hit the air, we were talking, I think David mentioned Nightingale. I really liked that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I liked, was it The Wind?
The Wind, yeah, that was last year. Me and you took.
Oh, was it last year? Oh, yeah, okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Really the only things I've seen this year, and now my brain is completely freezing.
We had The Color Out of Space, which was amazing. Have you seen that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Lighthouse and Joker.
Okay, yeah,
those
Lighthouse.
2019.
Okay.
Well, I saw them in the theater. Was that
We saw those. Those are probably November.
No.
Probably
That's
November
right.
2019.
The Blu-ray came out in January for Lighthouse and the Nightingale on the same day, and Joker came out the same month. That's why I'm thinking this year. But yeah, we saw that in the theater in November. You're right.
Yeah, the two that I have to recommend to everybody listening is the Golden Glove, which is absolutely
I did watch that.
Amazing. It was 2019. We didn't get American release until 2020, so I'm going to count that as a 2020 release. There's another one that's really hard to find. I'm waiting for Steven to watch it. I don't think he has yet. It's called The Painted Bird, which is the most incredible extreme film ever made.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
It is just so amazing. Before that, I would have said a Serbian film. And not because I'm being an edgelord. I'm just saying from the production value and how well the movie is made, it's brilliant. The Painted Bird it takes like should I say like a Bergman. Like if Bergman made an extreme film, this is the type of film this is. It's all black and white. It's about a little kid that is lost his family in the Holocaust. He is going from place to place, just being abused and treated like shit. It is so dark, but it's so beautifully done.
There's something that reminded me about it when you said that of Tarkovsky's Ivan's Childhood.
Tarkovsky has been referenced a lot comparably as well. So
okay, I see. I haven't seen that, and just basically what you described to me, and I guess it's black and white, is it not?
Yeah, Stephen.
That too.
Stephen, if you don't love this film, I would be amazed. I would be amazed if you don't love this film.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out for myself now.
Unfortunately, there's only because it's an Eastern European film. So I think there's only a Czech Republic release. So it's like $50. It is all region, but there just hasn't been an American release where we can buy it for $20-$30 yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's that good, I'll pay for it. I don't mind. But yeah, I mean, from what you're telling me, I'll pay it. I don't care.
Yeah, if I was this would definitely
and
be.
David's a cheapskate. He doesn't want to pay $50 for a movie.
Yeah,
he will. He will if
I will.
Like conversations I have with my friend Andrew, he's so goddamn cheap.
We were just arguing about a 3-disc steelbook that comes in a slipcover. I'm not I like steelbooks, but sometimes they get marred or they get dented in shipping, or they're more fragile than some other things. But it comes in a slipcover on top of that, which protects it, and then it's a 3-disc with a soundtrack, a DVD, a Blu-ray. alternate artwork and all kinds of extras. A commentary from a good friend of mine I've had for a few years, who's a film historian. A commentary from a new acquaintance of mine on there. Commentaries from another film historian, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm just like, I'm sold. And David's like, wow, $49.95.
Yeah, well, it's well. I was telling Steven, do we really need the fucking DVD? That's trash. Do we need the CD? Because if you would have just put the soundtrack on the Blu-ray, I think 90% of people.
No, because I can put the CD on my iTunes and I can listen to it in my car.
But you're a weirdo, Steven. So most of these people are going to listen to their home sound system. So you're like the minority in that one.
It needs to be on both. I actually like that. I like it on the Blu-ray, so while it's in there, I can just choose that as an extra. But I like having a CD in a CD format itself too.
And I'm not a big steelbook person either. Just a nice cover in a plastic case, $35.
That doesn't mean we don't want Snake with a human tail in a steelbook. Do not get us wrong, Spencer.
No, I still own a bunch of steelbooks.
We want that steelbook. Do not.
Okay.
Do not.
No, I don't go out of my way for steelbooks, but I do think they're awesome. I have like 10 of them. But I'm an Alien fanatic, so I have to unfortunately have multiple copies of Alien, and so I have steelbooks and all that fucking shit because I'm an idiot and I keep on buying it.
I'm getting all the not new, but the original Ultraman and Ultra Q series from Mill Creek. I have those in the steelbooks, and they come in a plastic slipcover on top, so the steelbook isn't getting scratched and stuff. But
Steven, are you a Star Blazers Battleship?
Oh, yeah, Star Blazers is awesome. I'm not as well versed in it as I am as Godzilla and Ultraman and say like Gigantor and Astro Boy and Teenage Science Ninja Team Gatchaman and stuff like that. But yeah, I know Star Blazers and I have some of it, and that's classic stuff. And if you're going into outer space, you have to have that haircut. You have to have that very specific haircut that happens with the swoop forward of the short sideburn, and that is definitely a Star Blazers. There's a lot of Go-Nagi-esque stuff going on. Did Go-Nagi have anything to do with Star Blazers?
I believe so, but I wouldn't swear to it.
But it definitely, I'm sure some of his art was an influence on that. I'm big into Mazinger Z and that kind of stuff, and Go Lion, the Japanese Voltron stuff, Dairuger 15.
Now Spencer,
Guyver.
Oh yeah, Guyver, man, fuck yeah. They I guess the old one's not on Blu-ray; it's only the new one. But I've got all the old stuff on VHS, and I did upgrade that DVD. Yeah, they look great on DVD.
Yeah, I got the same thing going with Star Blazers. I honestly can't find a box set or anything else with, Star Blazers. But
let me do some looking, man. I got some international sources that.
All right.
Do you have an all-region player?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Enough said. I'll let you know what I find.
Hey, to answer, not to take over here, but to answer your questions from before when my stupid brain locked up because I'm old and tired. Here are the best films I've seen from 2020. If you're still interested.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Shoot.
All right. You guys see The Assistant?
No.
The Assistant? No, I don't think so. No, I haven't.
Yeah, with Julia Garner. Really good actress. She's really terrific in this movie. It's about a put upon assistant to like this really abusive, and I'm talking about like sexually and physically movie producer. I don't want to give away too much about it, but it's.
Oh, I know her. I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
cool.
A good movie. Bacurau is good. It's a good monster movie.
Spencer, did me and you talk about? Did you tell me Three Christs?
Yes.
I thought I was trying to remember if you recommended that to me. I really like that one too.
Yeah, that was me. Actually, I liked that one so much. I think I watched it like 3 times because I was just A, that bored, and B, it was that good. So
Yeah, it's a good film. It really is.
I'm already. I just pulled up the poster for both of those. I'm already sold.
Richard Gere, you can't go wrong with that.
No. And there's another one I've seen here recently that I know it, at least David will love. It's called, and you probably will too, Stephen. It's Bad Education.
I haven't heard of that one.
It's a Corey Finley film. It was written by Mike Makowski. Very good film. It's very impressive from the aspect that it's a hard film to explain though.
It's Hugh Jackman.
Huh?
Hugh Jackman?
Right. Hugh Jackman.
Okay. It's an HBO film, right?
Yeah. Okay. And it's incredibly worth a watch. And Allison Janney is just, I always love her. So it's definitely a film worth watching. And so is Da 5 Bloods, the Spike Lee. It's a kind of a smaller, more low budget film he did, but I was really impressed with that as well, especially after how well Black Klansman did and how good it was. If you guys saw that.
No, I have not seen that one.
It's on my list.
I've had issues with Spike Lee, so
I don't like him either, but I did like this film, and I liked Klansman a lot.
I didn't see Black Klansman. The last thing I saw by him was the, and of course I saw all the early stuff, but the.
I boycotted him since Old Boy, I think.
That's what I'm trying to say. The old Boy.
I guess because it was terrible.
And the film he did directly after that was a remake as well. He did a remake of Ganja and Hess. With Dwayne Jones from the original Ganja and Hess was Dwayne Jones from Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
And it was an incredible film. It was in 1972. Has one of my favorite scores in cinema, period. And directed by the late Bill Gunn, who was like in the Orson Welles of the African American
it's a great
community in the 70s, and such a talented, beautiful. It was a talented filmmaker and such a beautiful film. But Spike Lee remade it as The Sweet Blood of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
If I'm getting the title correct. And I didn't bother going to see it because Ganja and Hess is a perfect film for what it is. And which I kind of feel about Old Boy too. And with him doing 2 remakes in a row off films I considered were flawlessly executed, and then he fell so short of the mark. Now, I enjoy some of the performances by Brolin and Olsen. That was okay. Individual performances were fine, but as a film, it did not do anything for me that wasn't vastly trumped in the original film. And the villain was completely he took all the power out of the villain.
Well, he missed all the emotions in that film. And seeing interviews with Spike Lee is probably pissed me off more than the actual film itself. But to me, if I'm put in a corner, I've said this many times, I think Old Boy might be the best film ever made. So to see him do that in his interviews, make it look just like a cash grab. I've been cold, and I used to like Spike a lot before that. Even films people don't like Summer of Sam, I really, really likes. But
David's got a White Men Can't Jump tattoo.
Oh yeah, right on my ass.
I don't want to. Dude, you got to make that your profile picture.
Well, and I think what me and you talked about was The Platform, Spencer.
Yes.
And I think
I haven't seen that yet either.
Oh,
it's sitting there in my Netflix, but
another politically charged.
Dude, White Man Can't Jump is Ron Shelton. What is wrong with me? I got to call myself out on that one.
Spike Lee was in it, wasn't he? Didn't Spike Lee have a part in the film?
Something where he interviewed.
Or was that just the Jordan commercials, and we're getting it mixed up?
That must be that for you. I think he interviewed or had a conversation with Ron Shelton, and I think that's why I associated him with that. But that is completely my bad, guys. All right.
I don't know if you heard me before, but the one more I'd like to recommend to you guys, because I know we all love good monster movies. I don't know if you heard me before, but and I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is Bacurau? Have you guys seen that one?
I have not seen that one.
Yeah, it's a good It's it's Brazilian, but it's so worth the watch.
Spell it.
Bacurau, I think. It's a Juliano Dornelles and Kleber Mendoza Filo film. I hope I pronounced the second director's name properly, but it's one of those films that uses horror to make a political statement, but it's one of those.
And
films,
in it.
Yeah, and it's one of those films where the mystery of the monster is actually worth making it through the entire film. So I highly recommend it.
Well, going back to Korean films, there was a Korean monster film put out this year called Monstrum.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was a pretty fun movie because it kind of mixed like almost medieval Korean. It almost seems like a samurai type film, a feudal Korea film with monsters. The CGI is a little wonky, but it was still a fun film.
Well, I know David, you and I really liked that one. What was it, The Monster with the junkie mom?
The Monster.
Yeah.
Or it's just Monster.
Or Monster.
That's an 824 one.
Right. Well, it's been like a year since I've seen it, so I couldn't say whether it was The Monster or Monster, but did you see that one, Stephen?
No, I didn't.
That was a really good use of allegory with a monster.
Yes. And you'll never hate somebody's mother more than you will hate this woman.
But she does have a,
even more than my own.
She does have a good arc, though.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
Yeah, there is a little bit of redemption there, but
it wasn't enough for me to, I don't know. She needs to stick around and redeem a little more.
So
I know a little bit about I know a little bit about drug addict moms, so it's better than what some of us get.
Okay, so
I hear that.
I'm looking at something that looked like a comedy. It was a Tamil language film from 2019. So that's that. I'm still not finding it. So I'll do some more research and find that.
What, Monster?
Yes.
It's an A24 film. It might have been
A24.
2008.
Let me see. Okay, let me put A24 in it.
And I actually did this whole thing where I ran through most of A24's category filmography. I stopped after a while because there's only so many coming of age tales I can deal with. But
dude, I know, but it's like a trend lately. It's like I totally had to take a break.
But they do have some great films in their filmography. They're doing some of the best stuff right now for indie films.
I know, but you've got this like Surfer Blue, Her Story, an A24 film. I mean, who gives a shit? Make more Lighthouse movies.
Yeah, you get the Lighthouse, you get the Witch, but
Midsommar.
Have you seen Room?
Hereditary, yeah.
Have you seen Room?
Oh, I did, yes.
Oh my God, it's such a brilliant film.
I know, absolutely.
They just do some stuff, Moonlight, which is another brilliant film. They can miss a lot, but the stuff that is hitting. Ghost Story, I love so much. It's one
I need to see it. It's a couple of my friends really like it, but I've yet to see that.
They made the film for
one with $100,000. Yeah, that's the one, the filmmaker from Dallas that everybody's pissed at Fangoria about and boycotting Fango.
Yeah, David Lowery, who was his buddy produced that, was the guy who got caught up in all the sexual harassment allegations. He has distanced himself from that guy, saying he had no idea. But Ghost Story they did for like $100,000, and there's just parts in it that bring tears to your eyes. I
liked it. I thought it was a good film. I had nothing against it. I didn't know, the sordid backstory to it until a few days ago anyway. So there's nothing to muddy my opinion of the film. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and he has a new film coming out under A24 called The Green Knight, which got pushed back because of COVID.
Yeah, it's based on Tristan and Isolde.
Yeah, I believe so. And that I really look forward to that. I just hope
it's based on Gawain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Gawain poetry. Yeah. Gawain the Green Knight. Yeah, he was a figure in Tristan and Isolde, and he was also a figure in King Arthur, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I know him from like the the Mabinogion, the Welsh Arthurian legends, and the Mallory's Demore Arthur.
Like the Wife of Bath and all that.
Yeah, isn't he like related to King Arthur or something? And I don't remember a lot of mythology. I'll probably have to revisit it before the film. But wasn't he related to Arthur?
He's King Arthur's nephew.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting and dark. I don't think David Lowery really hadn't. You can't really blame a director because he has a shitty producer. If not, we'd have to throw Quentin Tarantino in the trash.
We'd have to throw a lot of people away.
Yeah. Half of Hollywood would be in the trash if they were tied into a producer that was taking advantage of women.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if the guy knew about it and didn't say anything, but if he honestly didn't know, I mean, you can't crucify somebody for not knowing.
No, definitely not. Especially in Hollywood, because there's so much fucking shit going on there.
I know, it's cesspool, dude. I have got to go cut birthday cake, and I didn't realize until just now it's 11 o'clock. So I got a little 3-year-old dude that keeps knocking on my door.
Who
should be in bed, but it's his birthday. So
yeah, well, we'll wrap up the show. So thank you again, Spencer, for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me, man. I always have fun. It's good to talk to you again, Stephen.
Oh, it's awesome to talk to you. And please hang on just 1 second. We got to tell you something as soon as we cut.
Sure.
Thanks again, folks, for listening to us. This has been Sadistic Cinema, where we explore the dark side of cinema and celebrate it. So again, listen out for our next show. Go to our group, Extreme Cinema and Sadistic Cinema. Follow us on Twitter at sadistic_cinema. And if you have any questions you want to book with our show, email us at sadisticcinema@gmail.com. Anything else you got to add there, Stephen?
No, man, you covered it all. It's just been wonderful getting back in the studio with you and have great guests like Spencer on.
Yes, man.
Thank you, brothers. Hey, can I plug my website?
Oh, definitely. Go ahead.
Do.
It's www.iamalwaysrightandyourwrong.com.
Yeah, and Spencer, any other things, Facebook, Twitter, anything you want to plug?
Well, I mean, shit, I'm Spencer Gray on Facebook. I'm Spencer D. Gray on Instagram, and I did a fun thing with the word Cthulhu on Twitter. I'll just spell it. It's at CTUTH Lust. So I kind of just had a little fun with Cthulhu there, but everything else I wanted was taken. So I was like, I'll just make some shit up.
Well, folks, again, Spencer has always been a friend of the show. He's a friend of mine. Look out for his new film, and look out to see if you can find A Snake with a Human Tail. It's really a riveting film. So, thanks again, Spencer, for coming on, man. Well, thanks again, folks, and have a good night.
You too, guys.